back, everyone, to Milk and Honey's, the 2 ingredients you need for the perfect tea. We're your host. I'm Kayla Becker.
I'm Vanessa Curry, and today's episode is giving punchlines, prestige TV, and, maybe a little petty.
Petty, TBD. What's that about? We will see. We are joined for the second time in 2 weeks, and we'll explain that in a minute, by actor and comedian Danny Jolles. You've seen him in Crazy Ex-Girlfriend and now in the new season of HBO's Hacks, where he plays one of Deborah Vance's new writers, Nate. Now, when Danny isn't stealing scenes or puking in them, he is taking the nation's biggest comedy stages. Danny, welcome back to Milk and Honeys.
Well, it's so exciting to be here for a second time. I feel like a better time. I'm so excited. Even though the first time was wonderful.
Wonderful.
It was.
It was only like, what? Was it even 7 days ago? So
Yeah.
what happened was we were shooting the episode, and unfortunately technical difficulties do happen. Not going to blame anybody for that.
But we absolutely could blame somebody.
But we're
if
not
we
going
wanted to.
And we lost all of the footage. But that's okay. That was a trial run. It was practice. Not that we need practice for one-hit wonders, but one take wonders.
One-take wonders. Yes. I was like, hold on.
Hit
Back
wonders.
up real
Then we're in
quick.
big trouble.
No, but we are really excited to have you back. So
I'm so excited. I'm so excited to mix up my stories. Tell some, I'm excited. I've never done a second one. It's going to be great.
Don't worry. We have some new questions for you,
Great. I can't
okay?
how's your week been since we saw you? I know you were traveling for some shows.
I went to Burlington this
Coat
past
Factory?
weekend.
Love that place.
I was just going to say that.
Home of it, I believe, there. I do believe that was one of the tourist destinations I heard about.
Oh, great.
They were like, you can go to the original Coat Factory.
Whoa.
And I said, no.
No.
But I was in Burlington, Vermont. And then that was it.
Okay.
Did some shows at the Vermont Comedy Club. Great club. And then came back to beautiful L.A. Been running around town. And then I fly out again tomorrow night.
I saw it to New York, right?
No, tomorrow I fly out to Des Moines, Iowa.
Oh, that is
Oh.
fancy. What do you do in Des Moines? Is that what happens in Des Moines?
Yeah, like what are
I think I've been
what
to
are you
Des
excited
Moines.
to do there besides you're going there for work?
I am.
I'm
I will be performing comedy. But I will. What will I do in Des Moines? It looks like there's a Dave and Buster's within walking
Love.
distance.
Yeah.
And they're different in every city out here.
Yeah, they do.
Oh, that was real.
So I'm a regular. I will say on the road, because you're alone on the road, and
Yeah.
a Dave and Buster's is a good place to be alone. There's a lot of places that are sad to be alone,
That's
Right.
true.
and
Right.
Dave and Buster's is a good alone place.
I see. I wouldn't necessarily think that, but I'm glad that you feel that way.
Yeah, I like it. Well, 'cause,
There's lots of also games that you can play by yourself.
play games by
That just
yourself.
seems really sad to me.
Everything's sad. Everything's sad when you're on the road alone.
Listen, I know. I traveled with WWE for 8 years,
Yeah.
and there was a lot of time I would try to find something to do in every city, but then you get exhausted when you're traveling as much as you're traveling, and then so
Completely.
it gets to the point where you're only seeing the inside of a hotel, a Uber, a airport, and then your venue, and then you go home.
Yes.
But it is important to try to take advantage.
Did you have like a group though?
I would have a group, so
Yeah.
people would kind of make you go out, because when in your life do you get to experience traveling the world for work and getting paid to do it? So
Yes.
go see what's happening in Des Moines.
And also, Des Moines. I mean, some of those smaller cities are the ones that you leave and you're like, that's the coolest one.
Yeah,
Right.
Fargo. When I went to Fargo for the
Yeah.
first time, I was like, oh, I could hang out in
Where
Fargo.
is Fargo?
North Dakota?
Yeah, something like that.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
I think.
I was
Yeah.
like, I don't know. I was like,
I
oh,
think
you
I'm
know.
right. Yeah.
It was north. Yeah.
But yeah, yes, some of those are like amazing. Columbus, Ohio. Every time I go to
Columbus.
Columbus, I'm like, great city.
Big fan of Columbus.
Yeah, so those like little cities. So you never know. But I travel stand up. You're truly alone until you get
Yeah.
to like a really high level, and then you get to bring friends with you.
That's true.
And so I'll get to bring every now and then a friend, but usually I'm just like alone.
Yeah.
My friend Rachel has a really good phrase that she uses when she says, when you travel alone, it's like you're a ghost. Because you're traveling through the city, but nobody notices,
Nobody notices you.
And you're just kind of...
That just sounds amazing. It's
Yeah.
like my dream.
Well, it's kind of fun.
Like a little nomad.
It is.
Nomad
Love
ghost.
that.
Yeah, you just kind of walk around. Like, I'll put headphones on. I'll just like Burlington, I just walked the city.
Yeah.
And just kind of was like...
Did what you want to do, and no one,
No one talks to you. Nobody even notices you. You just are literally a ghost.
I
I
love
love
it.
that.
Well,
That's what I've been up to.
you're not a ghost in the entertainment industry, because we've been seeing your face every single week on one of the biggest shows out right now. We are talking about Hacks. You've been killing it. I've loved watching. You're so freaking... I mean, obviously you're funny, you're a comedian, but watching you go from the comedy stage to like a TV show set and absolutely kill it has been so much fun. How did you land this role? Like, how did this... I won't say fall into your lap, but how did you come across this?
I was the old-fashioned, like, it's nice to be like, an audition. Like, a good old audition. It was a Zoom. They gave me a Zoom audition, which is like, it's crazy that we're in a place where Zoom auditions are like, what an honor.
Yeah.
But I was like, oh wow, a Zoom audition. I really have a chance. And so I like, but it was great, and I had like such a good audition, and I just had such a good audition. The casting directors are the best, and they were like they gave me such good notes, and I adjusted, and then I remember like, it was one of those I got off, and I was like, I really think that was good. And it was also like a down the middle for Danny.
Yeah.
That's a real down the middle role. We're a loser.
Do you prefer to do Zoom or in-person auditions?
In person. It goes in person, Zoom, and then somewhere near the core of the earth is a self-tape.
Okay.
Oh,
Okay.
Yeah.
So
self-tapes are draining, aren't they?
So I would say that's my ranking.
I could agree to that. Yeah.
I had a bad Zoom audition experience.
Really?
I did. Yeah. I wasn't home, so I was like in Florida, like visiting friends. So I didn't have a good backdrop. So it's like grainy and the lighting wasn't good. And then they kept having me do takes over and over again, different ways. But I was getting super flustered, and so I felt like by the end of it, I was just like upper lip sweat everywhere, matted hair, because I felt like I wasn't doing what they wanted me to do.
Yep.
And I'm like, I sucked at that. I got feedback later. The project never happened, but they're like, we actually loved you. We wanted you to come back. So I guess it worked out, but in my head, I was so in my head about it.
But that to me is a better audition experience.
Yeah. That's what you're
Even
getting
that,
feedback with
you're
people.
getting feedback.
Yeah.
You got to show them different things.
Exactly.
Self-tape, we're just chucking shit to the wind. I don't even know.
Have my friend on speakerphone reading behind them.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah.
you did that
Sometimes I
sometime?
have my sister on FaceTime or my boyfriend on FaceTime, and I'm like, okay, I need someone to read last minute. And there they are.
I've had during the pandemic, my wife was my like go-to reader.
Of course.
And I said very early, the second this pandemic is over, I will never have you be in my reader ever again. She is horrible to work with.
Why is she?
She's horrible.
Wait, why? Did she give you like hard notes, or what's her?
First off, I would say every single time I do the first take, and she goes, why don't you learn the lines and then do it again?
That's the.
I know.
And it
My
makes-
boyfriend has a very similar way of getting
Yes.
feedback when we.
It's ridiculous, and
He
it's
goes, "Do you
rude.
want me to come back when you learn your lines?"
Why not?
I'm like, "I know my
I know my lines. I need a couple takes at it. I need a couple shots
A couple
at it.
takes.
Yeah.
Exactly.
You bring a good attitude. Yeah, she has a terrible attitude. She loves to give a note.
Yes.
She
And
loves
also,
to give a
self
note.
tapes are just like, oh, sometimes you're doing the whole commercial in your self tape, and
yeah.
I don't have space for that.
Oh yeah.
And then I'm like, okay, babe, you got to go over here. Like we're in Tokyo, and I'm like, okay, hold this up, hold it right there so I could see, okay? And then like hold the phone right here because I didn't have my tripod, of course.
Of course.
Never doing that again. But like I always travel with it now just in case.
Oh,
'Cause
I
you
did-
never know. Which that is the beauty of self tapes, right? Obviously,
You can do it anywhere.
You can do it
Yeah.
anywhere,
Yeah,
which
and they'll-
I'm super appreciative of that. But
No.
it's not
about
the
that
same
noise.
Yeah.
in the
No.
room. That energy with
Completely.
you and the director or the casting, like it's just there's nothing like that.
It's better. It's
Yeah.
just better. And so Hacks gave me a Zoom audition. I literally on the Zoom was like I think I ended it being like, I just can't thank you enough for this audition. Like this was so great. And I didn't even know I was gonna get it, but I just was like, this was so great. And then I booked it.
And you booked it, and you've been nailing it.
And when you found out that you were going to be working so closely with Gene Smart, what was your first
Iconic.
honest reaction?
My honest reaction was like, obviously it's like, wow. But then you go, but also Paul and Lucia and Jen are genuinely also like very impressive to me. So I would say like almost equal amounts, like, wow, Paul and Lucia and Jen are going to be there. But with that said, like I've acted with some very famous people. I've managed to hold it together every time. Like I think most notably, like, I mean, I'm always like, if I can get through acting with Brad Pitt, I can get through acting with anybody. And I did have to stare Brad Pitt in the eyes for a day. So it's like, if you can do that,
Goals.
you can do anything. So I was like, I can do this. I can do Gene. And Gene was great. But she's like the best version of a person where you're like, yeah, you're exactly what I wanted you to be.
And nothing like her character.
Nothing.
Yeah, I was going to ask.
If
is
you
she
haven't seen Hacks,
intimidating?
her character isn't someone that you want to be stuck
Yeah.
in a
No.
room with. But
Nope.
No, she's a delight. She's a professional to her core in a way that you're like, wow, like this is what an actor
Yeah.
is.
were you fans of? I mean, if there's any previous work of hers that you were a fan of or that you had seen?
I mean, Hacks one.
I think that's when we've really all.
Yeah,
kind of-
but then, so she was in. I was in Babylon,
Mm-hmm.
small part. She was a much bigger part of Babylon, great part, And so I remember seeing the movie and being like, Jean is so good in this. And it's like one of the few movies she does, because Hacks now takes over her life so much she doesn't act in a ton outside of it. Although she's on Broadway right now, and I like really want to see her. Like, she's
that'd
doing
be
like a one-woman show.
Oh, that
I
sounds
know.
amazing.
Did you get to meet her on the set of Babylon?
No.
Okay, so she
I never said it to her on set. I was like, we were in something.
Oh no.
We were in something together. She's in technically the first time we crossed paths.
Nice to see you again.
And we've crossed paths before. This is smart. But no, she was like so. She also like when I first met her, she had just we shot the first thing we shot was in Vegas, and it was at 3 a.m. was our call, and so it was 3 a.m. on a Monday. And Jean had just hosted SNL.
Oh,
so
wow.
she was so tired. So I also feel like when I first met her, she was just like...
waking up.
Yeah, she like truly didn't know where she was. And then like over the course of the next couple of days. And then by the end, like, yeah, the one story I will repeat this story about Jean because I do think it's worth repeating this story.
Repeat it.
Is that we did boardroom scene. If you've never done a boardroom scene, nightmare. You film one person, then you move the cameras here. Everything has to move. Then you film this person over here. You have to go all the way around a table. We did 3 scenes. We go bang, bang, bang. One each of these scenes. Next person. Took forever. An entire day was these boardrooms. They shoot Jean first, as they should.
Of course.
She deserves it. Legend. Nobody's complaining. And then they start moving to Hannah. And then it's like they're 2-shot. And then it's just Hannah. And they're starting to make around the table. I'm over on this side. In my mind, I was like, 0% chance. Jean is on set by the time we do this. She's going to go home. She deserves it. She's exhausted. It was like
time for her.
She's just hosted SNL. She's got better things to do than worry about my stupid coverage. She stayed for 6 hours on that set. She was there for my scene. It's one of my biggest scenes. It is like when my character is introduced, and like, yeah, acting opposite Jean Smart and supposed to be intimidated by her when it's Jean Smart you're staring at is really helpful as an actor.
Yes.
Like
You didn't really have to act that much.
I was scared. I was scared of her. And so like I'm always like so grateful for that.
Yeah.
That she was there. I was like, that was just such a cool pro actor thing to do. She's the best.
And you didn't even know. Like, you really did think that she was going to leave.
I was like, and I was ready to go. I was like, fine, no big deal. Like, I can do it. You know, I'm a good actor. Like, pipe myself up. Like, you're fine. You've done this before. And then I was like, wow, she's still here.
She's still here.
Ugh.
And with a good attitude.
And that's the important part. Not like the sitting around like, don't mess up, kid.
No,
You're out of here.
so
Let's
supportive.
see if
You've got this. You got this. Like,
which I think
everybody.
is rare. I feel like, I mean, I've been on sets and I've been in situations, and not to bring up WWE again, it's a great example of the opposite mentality where people like that will sit around to watch you fail.
Yes.
And to like prove that you can't do it and that you don't belong there. So someone like Jean who's been around for so long and is so respected and so successful, to sit there not to do that, but to encourage you.
Yeah.
To set a good example. I feel like that's very rare and very admirable. So
Yes, we love her.
kudos to you.
Way to go, Jean.
Kudos.
Yes, we love you.
How was it working with Hannah? Like, you knew her before.
I did. I knew Hannah I've known Hannah a long time. She's still a very good friend. And like, so it was obviously like, that was nice because it was like my friend.
Yep.
Comfort. Totally. And also like, it's like exciting when someone's your friend and then they become the lead of a TV show, you don't get to see them as much.
Right.
It's like, you know, it's like when somebody becomes, you know, a wrestler where they move, all of a sudden you're like, oh, my friend who was on, if someone went from Raw to SmackDown, like all of a sudden you're like, oh, they're gone. I don't get to see my buddy as much. It's like that happens with like comedians where it's like they get a TV show and you're like, yay, and then you're like, oh.
Yeah. Happy for them, but miss you.
Yeah, like I won't get to see it. So I don't get to see Hannah as much anymore, except for like when she's on her. And so it was all of a sudden like, oh, I get to spend time with Hannah. So that was really nice. And then it was just cool seeing like, Hannah's a great actress, but like she is awesome to watch on set. Like she's like really just like so good. And I was like, wow, I didn't know that. I know her as a stand-up, but I was like, wow, she's gotten so good.
And watch y'all interact in scenes was hilarious. Some of the funniest scenes.
Crazy.
Yeah. Well, I felt so free with Hannah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like I obviously, but then by the she's just she's great, and I've known her for so long. I saw her at open mics. I met her when we were doing open mics together. And I was like,
how long ago was that?
Forever. No, it was like, I mean, I probably
like a decade ago?
Yeah, probably coming up on a decade ago. I first saw her at an open mic, but I was very quickly like, this is a star.
Yes.
You just knew.
I recommended her to my manager. One of very few people I've ever
Who
recommended.
turned her down, right?
That's right.
See, there's something we remember.
That's
Bring it back.
Turned her down.
He's kicking himself now.
But that's how much I believed in Hannah from the get-go. Is I was like, this girl's a star.
So you have an eye for talent then.
I've called a couple people
How
that-
are we doing?
You guys?
It's round
Tell
two.
us
Stars. But you're
Round
already,
two. Yeah.
but
Okay,
you're
thank
already
you.
are.
We paid him to say that.
No.
No, but you've gotten to work with some great actors and comedians, and improvising runs through their blood, right? So, were you allowed to improvise on the show a lot, or was it more so just stick to the lines, get through it?
Paul and Lucia are so cool with improv.
Awesome.
And they're so like, they're just so cool with it, and they just let you go. And like, yeah, I got in some stuff, but like even more than like getting in, not getting in, it was like I felt very free immediately. And they'll just do a lot of like, they'll do a lot of stuff where they'll just roll the camera and be like, just do stuff. Like they were particularly like because there was a lot of montage in that one episode, and like there was so many times they were like, just talk and do things, and like, Danny, do this. Danny, do that. Like, now Sandy, do this. Now everybody react to this. Like, they just would yell stuff out. And she directs, like, they direct a lot through, like, a speaker. So they just, like, are yelling stuff at you through the speaker.
I'm gonna do it.
So fun.
And you're like, it's awesome. So,
Do you ever ask for a cookie, or do they just give it to you? Like the last take, like when someone's on set and they're like, "Hey, can I just get a cookie real quick?"
I got what?
What
Not
does
an
that mean?
actual cookie.
What do you mean?
Not an actual
What is a
cookie, but like a
Vanessa
take.
just went rogue. Now I want a cookie.
Like the last, like if you're done shooting, but you're like, "Hey, can I get one more? Can I get a cookie?"
Oh, I've never used this phrase.
Really?
I've
You should
never-
use it next
Now I
time.
want
Yes,
to.
please use it. Everything. Why is he asking for food?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is he
Can I get a
hungry? Is your
cookie?
blood
But
sugar
I know what
low?
you're asking
Yeah.
for. But yes, absolutely.
Yes.
Which is like, can I get it? I used to call it a Danny take.
Oh, love that.
On Crazy
See?
X, I would say, can I get a
Can I get a
Danny
Can
take?
I get a Danny take?
I don't think I asked for it too often because they would give me. I pretty much got it out by every time. Like, and I'm pretty good about. I used to ask for a Danny take, and now I'm pretty good about once I feel like they're happy,
Just do it.
I'm just giving a Danny take.
Yep.
Yep.
And
Yep.
then they'll yell at me and tell
Absolutely.
me enough is.
Yep.
And then I'll just see her like, oh, enough's enough. And I'm
But
like,
a lot of your scenes that you improvised made it into the final edit, didn't they?
a couple lines got in, which is very good
Yeah.
for the amount of not important to the main plot point that I am.
Yes.
Like I would
I mean,
say,
you're pretty important, but.
in my world, but
Don't worry, in our world too.
Well, so if you haven't seen Hacks, please go watch it. It is so good. There's still
So
a couple seasons. I think maybe one or two episodes left before the end of the season.
Yeah.
You'll see Danny definitely on the front end of that. And one thing you'll see happen to Danny is get very ill in Las Vegas. Also get hit by a fish. You had some mishaps in the in the show.
Yep.
I want to talk about that puking scene though. And I asked you this last time. You had to practice. You had to practice.
oh yeah.
What goes into practicing puking?
Is it just the motion? Did you practice with stuff already in your mouth? Like,
Yeah,
what happened?
Well, I watched a bunch of people throw up online.
I'm such I'm a sympathetic. What's it called? Sympathetic.
I'm like.
Oh, will you?
I'm
You'll pick up
empathetic.
if someone.
If someone starts gagging, it's
You'll
over.
gag too.
Yeah.
I don't go that way, but I was very like into like what looks natural and also like what's funny, and so yeah, I had like 3 different pukes ready to go. I had 3 different ready to go, but they liked the first one a lot.
Oh, perfect.
But yeah, I kept practicing in the mirror. But I had a couple. I had like one, and I had one that was like really gonna spray, but I was so nervous about hitting Gene.
Yeah, that
mad.
scene was very.
You're already on good
liquidy.
terms.
Yeah.
You didn't want to push
She
it.
liked me. We filmed that one like not in Vegas. That one was back when we were in LA. So it was like, yeah, we'd already all bonded.
Right,
I was like, let's
right.
not ruin this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She likes me. Let's not
spit on her.
Spit on her face.
Maybe the third time you're on set together, we can try puking on
Right.
her.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe the next one. Now that you're a little removed from it, and also you touched on Crazy Ex. We didn't talk about that last time. I do want to talk a little bit about the time there. But beforehand, have you had a chance? I mean, I know you're so busy. You're traveling all the time. Just sit back and pat yourself on the back and realize, like, how cool the stuff is that you've done.
I mean,
it's hard sometimes to do that.
you guys ever like?
Sometimes you have to.
Sometimes.
I try to be better about
Sometimes.
it. It's like you got to recognize what you've done.
I try to. I definitely have had like, I've had moments where I've like, I'm trying to think. I definitely, the day we filmed the puke, which was like kind of my last part of that episode, I definitely had a moment leaving where I was like, did a really good job.
Mm-hmm.
Did what I was supposed to do. Everybody's happy with me. I did good. And then I was really happy when that edit came out. Like when the episode aired, I was like, not even that I was just like, oh wow, that was a really good edit. Like I did a good job. I was really proud of that. Outside of that, no, because there's always something new. There's always a new problem.
Yeah.
That's the problem with this industry sometimes. And I don't know if you guys go through this too, because when I ran a marathon last year, and I said it was very emotional for. Sorry about it.
I ran a marathon and
No big deal.
But I said, I was like, it's one of the few things I've ever done where I finished and I was like, oh, that's done.
Mm-hmm.
And I get to just celebrate a done, because we don't
win.
get that in our industry.
Yeah, that's a good way to look.
It's always you're moving on to the next.
You film
What
something,
is
but by the
next?
time you're filming something, you're already like stressed about the next job.
Right.
And then by the time you're stressed, and then by the time it comes out, you're like, I'm on 100 different things, and I'm traveling to Des Moines and whatever, and my ticket sales are here over here, and how are my ticket sales over here, and I'm selling well over this place, and now I'm filming this, and this thing's being edited, and like you just always have other shit.
Yeah.
So you never like have that like wow. But I had a really nice wow when I left set. I've had a couple of those. I've had a couple days on sets where I've left and been like,
yeah,
wow, that was really, really, really good. Yeah. I cried once.
After
Hacks.
Ted. The
Yeah.
first time I was on Ted, the second day when I like finished, I cried leaving set. I was just so happy.
Yeah.
That also looks like a really fun set too. So
It was, but it was so
working...
scary. I was so terrified, and like I just was so happy with my performance, and I was like, you did exactly what we talked about. Like I was just so happy. Because it's scary.
It is scary.
It's scary. You want to do well, and like you only get so many shots.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
At these
and there's
things.
a lot of people that you're, at the end of the day, trying to impress and do a good job, and also do a good job for yourself. But
it's Seth MacFarlane.
So
what we would I would love to work for Seth
it's Seth MacFarlane directing, and everybody's there, and you're like, and it's such a cool opportunity, and you only get, and also they're on a schedule. They don't have time for, it's not like I'm gonna get 100.
They're not babysitting.
That's
you
the thing with like get a
hand,
cookie. It's like I don't really have time to ask. A Crazy Ex, I felt by the end I had built enough goodwill on that set that I could go, can I get one more?
Yeah.
With Hacks, I would never. I just don't think I'm there.
Yeah.
I don't think I get the one more. I think I got to get it in when I get it in.
Yeah.
Right.
And so, yeah, it was just that was one I got emotional about.
I would encourage all of us as entertainers in this business to try to find time to give ourselves a little credit, because I think it is important. I know it's hard. It's very hard. I think I've only been able to do it since stepping away from my full-time job and reflecting.
Did you have any moments in WWE? Have you had any moments in modeling, acting?
Yeah. Those reflective, like
you were like, that was really
I think
good.
after the pandemic was over and I got to host, Renee Paquette had left WWE, so it was kind of me at the top of the food chain. And they're like, Kayla, first WrestleMania at Tampa, Raymond James Stadium in Tampa. This is going to be your very first kickoff show, 2-hour show for 2 days. Like before that, I was just the backstage interviewer. I was like, oh my God, I'm terrified. Like I gotta really show up. This is my chance. I can't mess this up.
Live TV.
They're gonna live TV, and I don't know if you remember, if you watched that WrestleMania, rain delays all throughout it. So I had to fill so much time.
That's right. There were rain delays.
Rain delays. When I got through that second day, and everyone was coming up to me, telling me good job, including like the top of the company, and I was like, wow.
Yeah.
I'm here now. I belong here. And after that is when my career just like skyrocketed in the company. So
that's so cool.
That's amazing.
Have you had one?
I have. I mean, when I first moved here down yonder, they were
Australia.
sometimes it comes out, I remember they were remaking the Pussycat Dolls group, and I was a part of the 2.0 when they were remaking it, and I remember it was everything I wanted to do, right? I mean, I wasn't really a singer, but I was a dancer, a performer. I held my own in the group, but I was not the main singer.
Music videos.
Same with Crazy Ex. Of like, I'm good. There's others who do this better.
Right.
Like,
we're gonna get into that. So it was like it was a dream, just being able to travel and do the shows and just, oh man, this is what I've been working for, So that was like a moment for me where I was like, okay, I'm meant to be here. I'm supposed to be here. And that was a long time ago, but there's been other things. It's just that was one of those moments where I couldn't even wrap my head around, I was like, if you want my hair pink, I'm dyeing it pink. Like whatever you want, I'm doing it, I'm in. So and after that, it's been, like you said, it's just kind of, it's been going its trajectory, however it's going to play out. And I do a lot of things. So sometimes, when I'm moving through those other jobs, you kind of forget that job still is so dope and so cool to be doing, because you want that, you always want it to be that top thing.
Yes.
Always.
And this business is entirely built on momentum and movement. And so the second, like, you go, nice, it's like, well, now you're going to get killed.
Yep.
Like, you can't do that.
Yep.
But then, so I get it.
Just like when you want to go on a vacation, that's when you'll book the biggest job of your life.
God,
Oh.
I ruined my honeymoon.
I
We
believe
had to
you.
change my honeymoon
Wait, was that for
for a commercial.
really?
Yeah.
How was wifey feeling about that?
She wasn't thrilled.
Maybe that's why she's so hard on you on these.
Exactly.
Yeah, she
fake
wasn't thrilled, but we got through it.
But yeah, we got to talk
Let's
about
get Crazy Ex-Girlfriend.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
loved that show when it was on, and I'm not a musical fan.
Yeah.
And that made me a musical fan
the best.
because it was so like catchy.
so catchy. I mean,
How did you land that? How did that role come about?
That was so. I've been working with Rachel. I met in college.
Really?
Rachel Bloom's been my
Wow.
So
At
great.
at this point one of my oldest friends. Like,
Heavy
That's
boobs.
so
That was my favorite song.
cool.
yeah.
Wait, what is it?
Heavy
Heavy
boobs.
boobs.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay,
yeah.
love.
I did a version. We did it live a couple times. I got down to heavy boobs pretty well. That's one I know. But we so I've known her since college, and so for years, like I'm always like this is when I like anytime I talk to young people, and I'm like just do stuff with your friends. Like don't worry about pay. Like just do it. So like for years, I would go around with Rachel. I was just like her go-to utility guy. Where like she had a show at UCB, and it was like I was the dancing cat. I was a doctor. I just would do stuff. I was just always doing Rachel stuff. I learned. At one point we were doing Seasons of Love in Klingon. That was a bit she had that I like learned how to sing Seasons of Love in Klingon. Like all these Rachel shows, and so then she gets her own show, and Rachel's really great. Where like you don't really have the power to get your friends on your TV.
Right.
I never even auditioned for the pilot. Because I was like, she's like, we're trying to get people.
Right.
We're trying to get
Right.
stars here. We don't have time for you. And rightfully so. I support her on that. They're trying to get picked up. But then once the show got picked up, she was like, yeah, it'd be great to get you like a line. That was what she was trying to get me. So I go in, I audition for a one-line role. Don't book it. Classic me. I go in again for another one-line role, a dancing lawyer. And Felicia Fasano was the casting director. And I walk in the room and she's like, I've seen you before. And I was like, yeah. She was like, yeah, you're funny. And I was like, oh, thanks. And I read it and she goes, I've got this other character. Can you go out in the hallway and learn this really quick? And I went out in the hallway, I learned it, and went back in. That's the role I booked. And that was George.
Stop.
And so when I showed up to set, Rachel was like, no, you're supposed to be a dancing lawyer. She was like, at first she was like angry. She was like, no, that was like the whole thing. I wanted to have you dancing lawyer. It was going to be so funny. And I was like, yeah, I don't know. But then I was this thing. And then she was like, wait, you're actually in The Office. This character's technically in The Office. And it was so I backdoored my way in. It was a 2-line role.
Amazing.
And all of a sudden I was like in The Office. And so I didn't come back at all season 1. And then season 2, like halfway through, I think just because of budget, they were like, we just need somebody to say some lines. I came back. And then like I had this one day on set that went really well. Just good day. And then they wrote this bit, I think, where I was just going to get fired. And in my mind, I was like, that's the end.
Right.
But I got this moment. I was like, this is going to be amazing. And then that went well. So then the bit became I was rehired and fired a bunch. That was my initial bit on the show. And every time I get fired, in my mind, I was like, this is goodbye.
I'm done.
This is goodbye. What a run. I said goodbye to that set probably 70 times. Where I was like, this is my last time. And then I just slowly worked my way into that show.
Oh,
And you
that's
did.
amazing.
Isn't that crazy?
But we also got to talk about.
We went
the
back and
song.
rewatched.
Okay.
what your-
Yeah.
What you missed while you were popular
Sure.
is what it was called.
Uh-huh.
Which, yeah, obviously rewatched it. Epic. Were you nervous about singing, or were you just completely like, give me my own ballad, I'm ready for this, this is my freaking moment?
Are you a singer? I know you come from a background of theater.
I'm a musical theater guy, but
Yeah.
I'm a character singer.
Yeah.
I would say character singer.
Yeah.
You know, I would say I'm not your Phantom. You know, but I'm a good.
You can hold a tune. Like I want to
Yeah.
go karaoke with you.
Oh well, I do you. But are you a good singer?
Absolutely not.
No.
Well, see, because I find like
Did you say no for me?
No, for me,
Oh,
I was agreeing with me.
Well,
I've
you're-
never heard her sing, but who knows?
I mean, it might be
I'm kidding.
because I've never heard you sing either, so there's no judge. But because I'm like I don't like actually karaoke, but I was like, but I'm a great LeFou. I'm a great like Book of Mormon. Like
Yeah.
I've always wanted to be in that. Like so yeah, I'm a character
Such a good
guy.
play.
It was a good song for me. I knew it was a good. I was like, so I was the singing part. It was the dancing that really scared me.
Yeah.
The-
So how did the rehearsals and you
Kat
your
Burns.
choreographer?
Kat
Okay.
Burns is the choreographer. She'd be at that point become a really good friend. She had already at this point I'd been in a couple group numbers, so she kind of had me down.
Mm-hmm.
She knew the Danny Jolles like way, which was great,
Mm-hmm.
which was like she knew like I can't dancers are just amazing and they'll just learn it.
They are.
So she was just like
She's a professional dancer, so she
Yeah.
understands.
it's crazy. So
I
like
get
so
it.
they'll just be like turn bang bang
Yes.
and everybody around me would be like turn bang bang and I'd be like what do we
I
would
need to break
trip
it
and fall
down
and
a
got
bit
it.
more.
I got
yes.
a turn.
Yes.
I don't know what just happened. And so, but she knew that at that point. So Kat would just be like, we would just take it step by step, and then she'd be like, go home and learn it. And so I just kept going home and
Yep.
going home and going home. And like the one thing I always have going for me in my, like if I was like the one thing I do well in this town is like, I'll outwork anybody. I'll just outwork you. So like I was like, I'm gonna outwork everybody to get this dance down. So by the end, I had it down so good. But Kat really like, and Kat is such a good choreographer where she's, in many ways, like I think Kat's special ability, she's really good at working with bad dancers and being like I'm super sharp. The way I move is sharp. Just bang, bang.
Right.
Like so, she just made that. She would change the dance. Literally, she'd be like, I would do something like this, and she'd be like, all right, we're changing it to that.
Oh.
And she would move it around my strength.
Oh,
She's amazing.
That's wonderful.
She's the best
That's probably why
choreographer.
it looks so good.
Yes,
finally
because she
went
literally
there.
built it around me.
Absolutely. That's
And like
the best.
what I did.
That's a professional.
It was amazing.
Well, you know, the show was known for tackling mental health, relationships, and identity in such a bold way. Was there ever a moment in the scene where you stopped and thought, wow, I can't believe we're doing this on a CW
CW.
musical
I mean,
comedy?
Can I say one of the
Like-
one of the songs on that show, which I still sing in my head, and I'm sorry, men. Period sex was when I'm like, am I actually watching this on the CW
On the
right now? And it was
CW.
like, but
It's very bold for that.
Crazy what they would get away with. They had I think it's one of the funniest relationships of all time. Rachel and Aline's relationship with the FCC, like whoever was in charge of what's it called? Something in practice, standards of practice.
Okay.
They had a genuine they had such a smart thing going with them where they would just be like, it's a game, let's play this game together. And they would go with what can we say and how can we say it, and they would work around everything. They got off such wild stuff. I will always say, and I don't, in a brag way, I will say that Crazy Ex-Girlfriend will go down as many things, and one of them is the most unattractive cast in the history of CW by a bullet.
but sexy at the same time.
Have we ever
I feel like they made
CW?
it so sexy.
Everybody's like CW actors, like literally revered as like the sexiest in Hollywood, and then somehow it was also us.
Well, we're excited to see what other shows you end up popping up on in the near future. But we want to talk about what you do most of the time, and that is your comedy. And I want to talk about some of your specials. You have 2 so far, 6 parts, and You Choose. Both totally different, but I want to talk about You Choose. We talked about that last time, how innovative. Never seen anything like that before.
Thank you.
Can you tell us again how you came up with this idea and what the response has been?
It was You Choose is a choose your own adventure stand-up special where you get to choose my opinions. So you get to choose if you like David Blaine, if you hate David Blaine, if you love veterinarians, if you hate veterinarians, you pick that, and then you hear that version of the joke.
So cool.
I'm so proud of it as an artistic piece. So proud of it. And it lives on YouTube, which is crazy. The fact that we figured out a way to do it on YouTube is bananas. I'm so proud of it, and I love it. You know, career-wise, we could call it a failure. But I would say artistically, I stand by it as like one of the coolest pieces like ever made. And I am like so proud of it. And the ending is
Get to the ending,
spectacular.
comedy watchers. You
Get to
said
the
you
ending.
were told by someone that people don't ever make it to the end of comedy specials.
a comedy streamer, as a
People
matter of
don't
fact.
make it to the end of the specials anymore.
Yes, yes, yes.
I make it to the end typically, but you
I
know
make
what?
it to the end.
Somebody who curates comedy
Yes.
said
People don't make
people
it.
don't make it to the end. And in their defense, somewhat accurate, but also bananas that they said it to my face. I'll never get over that. And by to my face, I mean to my reps who then relate it to me. But
You went and did it on your own. You
Yeah.
outwork anybody in the room, Danny. And this is
I
proof
work
right
people,
here.
baby. That's all I
Literally.
got. All I got is I'll work you.
And you're working on. You have a current special that you're working on now. Are you allowed to
So
talk
there's
about
one in the
that?
can.
Okay.
I won't say when it's out.
Okay.
But I will say there's another thing to it,
Okay.
and I think it's really cool. The thing I've said about this special, what I will say about this special, is the ending of this next one. We're doing it again. I think I would say almost nobody has made it through without crying at the end.
Oh,
I
like
think
out of
that's-
laughter.
No,
Oh.
out of emotions.
Oh.
There's a real emotional chord. in it.
I love that.
Sad comedy. Emotional
Okay.
comedy.
The goal of this was I'm an observational comedian I want to observe myself.
Oh,
That's
I can't
awesome.
wait.
And that was the idea.
Okay.
Okay, so when did you realize that being funny could be your job? When was that moment for you?
I don't even. What's so interesting? I go, wait. All right, this is one we will repeat because I think it's worth repeating because it is the answer.
Yes.
That's what you're trying to get at.
I'm trying to make that like, hey, there's one answer. If
If it's not broken, don't fix it.
yeah, no, it's because it is the story. It is like
Yes.
I went to NYU to be a dramatic actor. I was a serious actor, not here to tell jokes. Studied the method, Strasberg, where Robert De Niro studied, Al Pacino.
Ooh.
And that's what I was going to do. And I learned it, and I'm a good, serious actor. Took a lot of pride in it. And as I was graduating, I was like, oh, yeah, it's not a fair industry. Like, I'm an idiot. Like, I can't audition. Nothing works. And I was sort of doing stand-up, but I was like, what are we even doing? What's the point? And then right as I was graduating, right as I was hitting the, oh, yeah, I'll never get an agent, I'm fucked. My friend was like, this guy is filming a special at the NYU theater called Skirball. They need people to fill seats. They don't. They're just giving away tickets. Like, can you go? I think she worked for the theater, and she was like, we need a favor. Can you sit and watch this guy do a special? And I was like, and he was in 40-Year-Old Virgin. I was like, sure, I'm free that night. And it was Kevin Hart. And it was Kevin Hart's first special. I was third row. You can kind of see me at one point, but I just was like, this is the funniest human on earth. And this is undeniable. And it was like, and I was like, this guy might not have a connection in the world, nothing, but like, that's what it looks like to be great. And I just literally the next day, like, quit even, I was doing pay-to-play auditions. I don't know if you ever did those. Pay-to-play auditions where they like charge you to audition for casting directors and stuff.
Oh, I remember those. Like at the. Oh yeah,
Yeah,
I remember
yeah.
those.
Actors Access
Yes.
and stuff. Absolute scams. And so, and I was doing all that, and because I was like, that's just the only way. And then it was like, I quit doing that, quit doing like improv, like everything.
Wow.
Stopped trying to do like equity auditions. I was like, fuck that. I was like, I'm just gonna do stand up every night, and that was it. All because of Kevin Hart. Little did I know he would be as big as he became. Like in my mind, I was like, this guy's gonna be like a really great star. I like didn't realize he'd be like literally the most famous person. I feel like now it sounds cartoonish when I say his name, but that is the person.
Yeah.
At the time, was he like if you look back now, like little Danny who like watched comedians, before him, who would have been some names that you watched?
I was raised on Jerry Lewis. I'll always say raised on Jerry Lewis. When we filmed Hacks at the Fontainebleau, I was geeking out because he did the Bellboy at the Miami one, which is where it's the greatest movie. In my opinion, it's one of the greatest comedies ever made. The main character doesn't speak until the last line of the movie. Whole movie, he's just miming. It's great. Great film. He also plays a version of himself in the movie to himself. He like plays two different characters, and he directed it. And because he was doing all that, Jerry Lewis invented the playback monitor while directing that. That is the reason we have playback monitors in Hollywood, is because of Jerry Lewis.
Crazy. We love a playback monitor.
Raised on him. I mean, like, look, Carlin made his way to me. Obviously, like, I remember, ironically, like, because now I know him, but Gary Goldman somehow got me in high school really hard. I loved him. Brian Regan, huge. And I'll always give credit to Dane Cook. Dane Cook reached me. And, like, I'll always be like, Dane got to high school me.
Yeah.
He was great.
And we all know the whole saying where you never meet your heroes, but has there been any comedians that you've seen as like heroes that you've met and were like a little bit like
Let down?
Like I think we talked about this last time where I met Bill Burr, and I was so nervous because he's kind of intimidating. And then he let me come backstage and talk to him, and we connected. And he was so nice, took a picture with me, sent me about along my way. I'm like, that's going to be a core memory that he was so kind, because that doesn't always happen.
He's done it multiple times for me.
Yeah.
Now I'm up to probably 5 times me and Bill Burr. He remembers me.
Oh, that's so nice.
He's nice. He's the best in every element of comedy. I think Bill is like the one who I'm like,
He's a
meet
blueprint.
your hero if your hero is Bill Burr. Other people, caution. But
Yeah.
Bill Burr, meet him.
Is there someone that you have met where you were like,
Yeah. I'm not going to say
Okay,
that.
actually, that might be in our game. So we'll get to that.
Never mind.
But yes, there have been some who I was like, it wasn't quite what I wanted you to be.
Do you feel like people are just now finding out more that you are a comedian and an actor, or do you?
You've been
find
around
them-
forever.
I feel like
you've
people
done so much.
I feel like people still are very like, I don't know. I feel like I live in a very weird place where like people know me, but they don't like. I don't think people always connect the dots with me. Cause like I don't know. I'm still like fascinated by how people. I was saying because I was walking with my friend down the street, and while we were walking in New York, at one point somebody recognized him, and then at one point somebody recognized me. Cool. But when he gets
Really cool.
really cool.
You're
so
in New
cool.
York.
So cool. But when he got recognized, he was like, Instagram. You know me from stand up. You know me from my Instagram. And when I got recognized, I was like, it could be about 5 different things.
Yeah.
And they're all viable, and all of them are small little pie. Like Crazy X, like Ted is one that the bros. If it's a bro, I tend to guess that. And someone correcting with stand up. Now Hacks. Like these are all things that you could recognize me from.
I think that's a bigger deal, to be honest.
Yeah.
Well, but then it's also they're smaller. Whereas like because he's super viral.
Right.
Yeah.
Like he was like, no, I know what it is.
But if you have a fan from what you've done, I feel like that to me just seems like, that's.
But it's also so hard to
absolutely.
convert like Crazy X, like getting
Yeah.
a Crazy X fans and being like, come to my stand up.
Yeah.
They're like,
Right.
but that's not the thing.
Right.
Yeah.
Same with Ted. Same with It's like, and then the stand up people, stand up people actually convert over really nicely. They're very nice.
Yeah.
Like if I'm on a
Oh, I
show,
bet.
I find that they.
Well, I
watch
think
it.
people who pay to come see somebody live are very easy to convert to do whatever it is that you're.
Absolutely.
And they're the
that
best.
you're doing.
It also cannot be overstated.
Right.
Yeah.
If you come and see me live, how much I love you.
Oh yeah. Do you have like older new friends that try and just
Now they see that you're
they
all
wanna
successful
connect
now. Now they
because of
want to
that?
connect. Now
or do you think your group is pretty much
I mean,
No new
I would say
friends.
like
No, we're in the new friends era only if
Is
you
this-
uplift one another, okay?
that's right.
That's it.
Is this
But
a new era for you?
yes, I think so. I was in my no new
You
friends
said
era,
it-
but
you
now
said
I
it like
What
it's
you
an-
said was a personal
Yeah, you
thing.
said
it is a personal thing. I feel like the people in my life currently right now,
Yeah.
they're just they're all new-ish. And it's just like we're all thriving together. It's great.
love
So
that.
I'm here for new friends. But not if you're just trying to
I don't think I'm
get
I don't think I'm
free
successful
tickets.
enough. I don't think I'm successful enough if that's really the case. So, no, I think it's fine. I think that maybe someday I'll be that. I think I have a lot of very, very famous friends.
Mm-hmm.
I definitely gotten some of those where it's like
They want to get close to you
want
to get
there.
to
the tickets.
that's
Can I
good,
get the
of course.
tickets to this person?
Of
Can I get
course.
the the one that'll really get me is if somebody's like, I've got an idea for a show. Would you pass it on to blah blah? And I'm like,
Yep.
you don't think if I'm gonna pass anything on to him, and I don't feel comfortable doing that with him because he's my friend and I don't like using that relationship. But you think I'm gonna use it on you?
You know, though, closed mouths don't get fed. So I guess you
That
gotta give
is
people
true.
credit
You think I'm
somewhere.
always-
That's
you know?
true. You got to try.
I
Well,
know I
speaking
should
of
do it.
mouths and getting fed, I think it's time for our little segment. Danny, you've played it before, but it's going to be a little different this time, so you're
Oh.
not expecting what we're going to ask. It
Yep.
is called Sip or Spill. You know the rules. You answer honestly, or you sip that, whatever's in the cup. I'm not
Yep.
going to tell you what it is because they do not sponsor us.
Yep.
Oh,
It's water.
It's
tea.
agua. It's tea.
That's what it should be.
It should be. But then it's got to be alcohol.
Yeah. We're actually working on something. But we'll-
Yeah?
Yes.
Okay.
We'll have to have you back
I
for
can't
a third
wait.
time.
That's when,
Just
we're,
for a
that's
sip or
when we're
spill
gonna hit our
segment.
stride.
All right, here we go. Let's kick things off. Sip or spill. Danny, name the actor you've worked with who you'd never want to work with again.
No.
Okay, I'll take a sip with you.
Sip in solidarity. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay.
No. Yeah, everybody's been most people have been very nice.
But there's always the
And I
one.
would never.
Yeah, you know.
But what's interesting is the amount of people who you're like, oh, this person's gonna be tough, and it's like they're great.
Yeah.
And then it's the people you'd least expect.
Of course.
It's tends to be the people who are the loudest about how great they are.
Yep.
That you show up on set and you're like, really, you're the one.
That's
Yeah.
yep.
Yep.
I've seen that
Yep.
firsthand.
Versus a Bill Burr who's like, he seems rough, but it's like, no, it's exactly who he is, and he's like
Right.
the light. And then there's people who are like, I'm one of the good ones, and then you meet them and you're like, you're
Yeah.
a-
Like boo. You just want to
worst
boo.
person.
them.
Horrible.
you're horrible.
Yeah. Okay, next question. Ever thought, I'm funnier than this guy and he's getting Netflix specials? Name him.
Oh yeah, I'll never name him.
But we know the answer is yes.
Yeah.
You were making
Yeah,
these a little
of
bit
course.
spicier. All right.
Yeah, of course.
It's funny, on the way here, I saw a big billboard of Jimmy Kimmel, and I was like, oh, Jimmy Kimmel, Jimmy Fallon, are they buddies? I don't know. And talking about how long they've been in the business and blah, 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 blah. Which late night show do you think gives the worst interviews?
Gives the worst interviews.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not. Well, I'll say this: people forget. So I'm not really answering the question. What I will say.
Oh, wow. We really got
But
him
what
on
I
this
will say,
one.
what I will say is this: people forget about Carson Daly's old show.
Yeah.
Mm.
That was a spectacular time in late night
Ah.
because he was really, that was a wild show. People forget about the Carson Daly one.
Would you ever want to be a late night host? That used to be a dream of mine, was to be a late night
I would
host.
do it in 2 seconds.
Right? That'd be so much fun.
I would want to do my way.
Yeah.
But that's sort of my thing with everything in Hollywood is I'm like, I would do almost anything if I got to do it my way.
Your way.
There's
Yeah.
very few things I would say no to.
Like Deborah Vance. That's basically what the whole
Yeah.
thing is about.
I would do anything if I got to do it my way.
What is one joke you've told that you knew would piss someone off and you did it anyway?
Now that's a solid. Let's see. I mean, I'm going after David Copperfield pretty hard right now on stage.
Okay.
So that one. So David Copperfield won't love it.
Is it a long joke? Are you able to
it's
get okay?
a pretty long joke. But David Copperfield. David Copperfield isn't going to be my best friend when he sees this. When he sees that joke. Who else have I said something about that? I'm like, because I've definitely said things about people on stage where I'm like, yeah, I said that. I said something about Tony Hinchcliffe at I hosted a Hollywood event, and I said something about him that was a little harsh.
Yeah. Did he?
No, he never saw it. But I was like, but I also. It was a good joke.
It's funny, when comedians, talk about other comedians, maybe in an insulting or jesting way, the comedians still get heard about it, which is funny because I feel like...
Absolutely.
Which is funny to me because I feel like comedians are supposed to be the ones who are like, take a joke. It's
but we
just a
take it.
joke.
But we take it when we're friends. I think the issue is like, if Tony did get mad at that joke, I would be like, he has some validity because Tony and I are not friends. We're acquaintances. We've been around each other, but we're not friends. So I would understand why he'd be like, the fuck's that
right.
deity. Now, I'd have an answer to that, but I would say that, like that was definitely one where I'm like, I didn't need to do that. But it was no, I don't go after too many people too harshly. I would say that the Choose Your Own special, though, that's one that constantly gets me in trouble because people will just see a clip of one side and they'll be like
Kreischer, right?
like Kreischer, but also like Kreischer, but also like
go to his Instagram if you want to hear the Bert
but then
Kreischer
also,
story.
but even like. I'll have like the veterinarian sides, right? So like sometimes I'll post the like anti-veterinarian people will just be like, you piece of shit. You don't even understand how hard their jobs are, you stupid piece of dumb. And I'm like, you would love if you watched the full special and you knew even how dumb you sound.
That's social media. That's people who don't go read articles, they read headlines.
The whole point of the special was that this is the problem.
Right.
And then people would take the special this way. And then most people watch the special in clips.
Guys, go watch the whole special, damn it.
From the beginning to the end.
Art
Stay till the end.
Okay. Have you ever had a fake laugh at a co-star's terrible improv just to keep the scene going?
Yeah.
So who was it?
No. But yes, tons. All the time you got to give
Okay, and which co-star needed the most takes to get through a simple scene and it drove you nuts?
I think we're making this too. We're about to get him drunk.
Why is it names? Why do you need
You know what? We
names
won't
so
say
bad?
names
Can you give
anymore. We'll just say
won't say names.
how did it happen?
Did it happen?
Yeah,
Okay.
absolutely.
As a dancer, for some reason, the easiest moves are the hardest to remember sometimes. The most intricate ones are the easier ones. So sometimes the easiest lines, I'm sure, are
Well, Crazy
the
X,
hardest.
Crazy X was like a nightmare in that. But then, yes, I've had a couple where like someone couldn't get a line out in a thing. I've had a couple where like, people just like, I had one show where this girl couldn't get a line out. I've had another where like the dancing on Crazy X, like there were just times they would just be like,
Yeah.
they'd just be like, Danny, you're killing us.
Yes.
You simply
Yes.
must. Yeah, we would do group numbers on Crazy X, and that was...
Well, that might lead to this next
Yeah,
question.
okay. The next question. Ever silently celebrated when someone else got cut from a project? Dun, dun,
Have
dun.
you seen someone get cut because I couldn't cut it,
Ooh. Well...
We can all,
Here's
we all,
a fun
we all have
story.
a little hate
Here's
in
a
this.
fun story.
Yeah.
This isn't. I wouldn't say this is entirely. But so, when I did Babylon, book Babylon, big movie, Damien Chazelle, Brad Pitt, oh my God, and Danny Jolles, so excited. 5 months before, I get this email from this guy, and he's like, "I'm in charge of props. You have to type in this scene. Can I bring you a typewriter to practice on?" And I was like, "Sure, dude."
Okay, yeah.
This guy brought me a typewriter for 5 months. I have this typewriter in our house, this old typewriter. I practiced quite a bit. I was very good at it. You learn it. It's easy. You actually have to poke and you learn you have to poke and stuff. You learn the thing. Easy. I show up to set, and it's like I'm so nervous. I'm like just trying to like please everyone. And Olivia is Damien's one of the producers and Damien's wife, and she comes up to me. It's like the first person who talks to me because I'm just like sort of trying to like stay out of the way, and she's like, "Hi, we have a hand double here who can type, but if there's any way you could type on this typewriter."
Oh my goodness.
And I was like, "What if I told you I've had a typewriter for 5 months?" And she was like, "What?" And she's like, "Damien, get over here." And then him and all the producers were, they're like, she's like, "Say that again." I was like, "I know how to type on the typewriter." And they were like, "Oh, amazing." And so this hand double did get fired because I could do it, but it was the best way to start my experience on that set, which was everyone thinking I was this hero, even though this prop guy is the king. He's the one who set me up for success because he gave it to me.
Yeah.
But yeah, they all thought I was like the greatest actor on earth because I knew how to type on a typewriter.
Incredible.
And it was like, no, this other guy is a hero.
We hope that your
I think even Brad was around. Brad was like, "Nice." And I was like,
That's
dude.
hilarious. That is hilarious.
Let's do a couple more.
Okay.
Okay, you didn't want us to ask names. Although this is like, we can all, this is no one that you maybe worked with. An A-lister that you think has no real talent, just great PR.
"No, I would have done such a thing."
Just great PR.
Someone who could hurt your career. Would that be someone you could attack publicly?
Here we go. Here's one.
So we'll have to rephrase these. Okay,
Yes.
I'm not getting him to bite. Has there been a recent comedy special that you had to turn off halfway through?
Yes,
like
so
a big
many.
one, like
Yeah.
Tons. Okay.
Ever bombed?
Some of them are terrible.
Ever bombed an audition and blamed the material when it was
100%
clearly
your
100% your fault?
Oh yeah, I mean, I would say that. Yeah, I would say that. I mean, obviously, like commercial auditions are famously like you're just like, what do you want me to do here? But yeah, I bombed. I did one audition. I did one audition maybe like a year ago. And it was for a project I was really excited to audition for. I was so excited about this one. It was a Zoom audition. We Dream.
Of course.
It was like 5 different characters. And she was like, "Which one do you feel the best about?" And I was like, "One of these I feel very good about." I was like, "This one." She was like, "Let's do that one first." And I do it, and I practiced a really good take. And we say, "Do it," and I do it, and I finish. And I was like, I felt good about it too. I go, and she goes, "Well, that was a choice." And I went, "Oh
thing.
no."
The worst
No one
thing
wants
you
to
could
hear
say.
that response to anything.
Yeah, that was
No.
she was like, "That was a big choice," and I was like, "Mm-hmm." I thought that was it.
Did you like it?
Yeah. So I guess you hated it. Sorry. Yeah. That one was bad. That was definitely a bad one. I remember there's a casting director. She's the best. So I'll even say her name, Nicole Biera. I think she changed her last name since. But I used to audition for her all the time. She used to work with Jeannie McCarthy, and I would go in for her all the time. I'm kind of famous for big choices. That's kind of my thing.
Mm-hmm.
And I think at some point, and so I went in at one point. I did an audition for her. I don't remember what the audition was. I thought it was pretty good. And she was like, "That was great. That was really great." At this point, we had a good rapport. And she was like, "That was great." She's like, "Let's do it again. Like just a little bit smaller, just a little bit smaller." And I go, "Oh, that's crazy. Nobody's ever said that to me before." And I thought that was a little funny. She like fell over laughing.
After you made it smaller.
And
after you just said
that I was like, no one's ever said that before. She was just like, "That is correct." And then I was like, "Oh wow, I guess I do really overact." She was so she like fell over.
Well, I don't think we can ask any more of the sip or spill questions because I think it was not going to get us anywhere. But you did survive this round.
I thought I did everything name a specific name.
You actually did a great job.
Thank you so much.
We would never put you in that position.
But next time we're just going to hook you up to a lie detector.
Yeah.
That was.
I answered though. I was like, yeah. There's
no. You
tons
gave us.
of
You gave us.
specials.
You gave
There's
us great
tons of
answers.
specials that are terrible.
Off camera, we'll talk about it.
Yeah. I'll tell you off camera.
Well, thanks for being a good sport, and thanks for coming on the show once again. We would have you on every week if we could, but we'll give you a few weeks break. We know you got some traveling coming up. Anything you want to say to your fans, where they can catch you next, where they can find all that information out?
So you can catch me in. Where am I going next? I'll be in. So I'm going to do a show. So New York City. I got Union Hall. I got Portsmouth. Beverly, Massachusetts. We got ourselves a bunch of Texas dates. We got ourselves San Francisco.
Ooh.
We're going to do a big LA one.
We'll be there.
Soon.
Yes, we will be there.
We're going to do a bunch of really nice dates. And then the other thing I say is watch my specials on YouTube. You Choose in particular, I really stand by as like such a cool piece. Find it. You'll love it.
Mm-hmm.
Watch the end. And then the last thing I'll say, Stand-up comedy is like hockey. It is great to watch on TV, but it is so much better in person. So if I did not say your town, and you do not think I'm coming to your city, just find your local comedy club, look up the next 4 comics, make sure you can find 10 minutes uninterrupted of one of them doing stand-up, not crowd work, actual stand-up. If you can find 10 minutes, then buy a ticket and just go see them live. You'll never stop going. Stand-up comedy is the best art form live.
Yes,
yes.
all of that. So you heard him. Make sure you follow Danny, support his shows, support other comedians' shows. If he's touring, get your tickets. And that's a great message. And I know your fellow comedians are going to really appreciate that. It is really important.
Yep.
It's huge.
And we'll be back next week with more unfiltered takes and uninvited opinions.
That's right. And until then, stay bold, stay curious, and keep sipping that tea.
Yes.
See you guys next time. Thanks, Danny.
Thank you.
Bye.